And so welcome back to our final chapter, chapter 10, where we will be tackling differential analysis and product pricing. So as we do with all of our chapters in our introduction, I like to make this very relevant to the things that we talk about in today's world. And then I try to transition it into talking about it, how a business may apply these same concepts, right? So I like this chapter out of probably all of the chapters because, again, it's really, really relevant to who we are and how we make our decisions on a daily basis, right? So many of the decisions that we make or you make depend on comparing the estimate cost of alternatives. And all that means is that we're looking at two decisions and trying to decide which one has a better payoff, right? And so we, again, make these decisions every single day. Hey, do I do this or do I not, right? So I thought that we would go through a couple of different different scenarios to look at what's the alternative. Which one would you choose given this information, right? All right, so our very first one we have is you have an exam maybe coming up or your final. So do you go to the party or do you go and study for the exam? Now, if you're with me sitting in class, I would likely make a joke of like, this is the, you got VIP tickets, it's backstage, it's all of your favorite artists gonna be there. And of course, like this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. Or you can study for the final exam where you have a C. So which one would you decide? And so this is a good time where students usually like, well, I'm going to the party. The exam going to be there. So really, there's no right or wrong answer. It just depends on overall, what is your objective, right? So here's another one. Let's see if I can get it going. Here we go. The next one we have, there we go. The next one we have is community college versus a four-year university. Now, obviously, because we're here at Norco Community College, many of you have made the decision to maybe forego going to a university right away and come into community college. But right out of high school or what have you, you had to make that decision. And so some of you maybe have started off at a four-year university and then transferred or something of that nature. But the reason you had to decide why you wanted to choose this alternative. So in class, I usually present this idea again, and usually people say, hey, I chose community college because it goes at a little more slower pace, or it's more cost efficient, or it's close to my house, right? None of them, again, are right or wrong. And then I have students that I've talked to and friends, they elected to go to a four-year university right out of college because they wanted the college experience of living on dorm and like that type of community. Again, we are all swimming in debt. I'm just kidding. But there's consequences to both of those, or there's trade-offs. I don't want to say consequences, but there's trade-offs between both of those alternatives. All right. And so now maybe you have kids, or maybe you are looking at a university after you are done with Norco College to transfer. So now here, what do you decide? Do you decide private school or public school? And again, this could apply to maybe your children or nieces or nephews or whoever you take care of going to public versus private. Or you can take it from the perspective of when you transfer from Norco, will you choose a private school versus a public school? Definitely benefits and trade-offs to both, right? But it's really up to you. Which one are you going to go with? All right, our next scenario, maybe do you want to rent in LA where you're downtown LA, or you're amongst everything around the cities and the beaches? Or would you rather buy a house in the Inland Empire? Which one are you going to go with? Okay. All right, and then the next one I have here in the far bottom left-hand screen is, do you pursue your job where you're getting paid decent, right? Or do you pursue your a career or passion? right? So which one? Now, if you decide to go for maybe a career, maybe that means sacrificing getting the money right away, getting all of the income right away because you have to work your way up. But again, you have to recognize that there's a sacrifice going with each of those decisions. Maybe one is, hey, I get the money right away so I can keep climbing and save. And the other alternative is, hey, I'm in my career field and I know I will build. However, I will not be making money right away. And then one of the ones that we are commonly faced with, especially if you're thinking about getting another car or yours conked out or whatever the case is do I go with new versus used, right? So I have people from all walks of life that they just would rather a new car just once in their life. And some people just say, hey, I don't mind getting a used car. And they cite maybe depreciation and mileage and things of that nature. Again, no right or wrong. Now, the most relevant decisions of our time right now, if you're watching this presentation, is do I wear a face mask or not? Now, that's not to make fun of COVID-19 or light of the people that have tragically succumbed to this. But now that we're in a different phase of opening up, I've seen people wear masks and I've seen people not wear masks. So you have to take into account which one is better for your overall health, right? And so, yeah, I'm gonna leave that right there. All right, so anyways, I hope you got the whole idea here is that we're all constantly making decisions and we're looking at, we're looking at the trade-offs of each of these decisions. Now, in your textbook, it talks about all of the decisions, and I mean, this is not a psychology class, so we're looking at it from the perspective of a business. But there is certainly a lot of psychological things at play when we're making the decision, right? We're trying to use our best judgment. We're probably taking the advice of other friends and family and their experiences. But there is something that in your book that it talks about that I thought was very relevant to what we will be studying and just making decisions overall. And it's this particular one that says, it says, Dr. Nesbitt concedes that for many Americans, cost-benefit rules often appear to conflict with your traditional principles as never give up and waste not, want not. And so the whole idea is when we're looking at alternatives, sometimes it's better to just do a cost-benefit analysis. Hey, is it worth it, right? But again, as the quote had said, it goes against our traditional values and principles that we've learned that, oh, keep working hard and never give up, or things of that nature. But sometimes it's good to realize when you need to call it what it is, right? That's a hard pill to swallow, but sometimes you need to be realistic with yourself, and businesses often find themselves in that situation. All right. So then anyways, your books go into more details talking about Facebook, and we all know Facebook, right? And so it talks about how managers must evaluate the costs and benefits of alternative actions. So for instance, you know, Mark Zuckerberg was one of the co-founders of Facebook. And as the platform or the social media platform has expanded over the years, I'm sure his strategic team had to come up with an expansion plan, right? And so in that instance, they had to decide what areas or what parts of the world would they go into or enter into based on cost benefit analysis, right? So for example, expanding the site into languages and countries involves software programming, marketing, computer hardware cost, and so forth. So Mark Zuckerberg and the rest of his team had to decide, hey, is it beneficial to go into Europe first versus maybe like a Papua New Guinea where there's a small population, right? So those are the decisions that, you know, these different businesses have to make. Now, it may be really easy to make this decision, but what if, you know, the Facebook team was trying to decide between maybe Europe or China, right? So which one do they expand in first? Which one would yield them the most return on their investment, right? So again, in this chapter, we'll be looking at differential analysis, which reports the effects of decisions on your total revenue. And so we'll look at, hey, what does it mean if I make this decision? What effect would that have, right, from the business concept? So in the next slide, as we pick up, or in the next video, we'll start talking about decisions and what the actual definition of differential analysis means. So come back, hit the next video. Hopefully this was entertaining to you, or you kind of got the concept where I was going with this. And from here, we'll continue to pick it up and keep going on.